This is Emoviolence, yeah? It started like 4 decades ago? Screamo, but more crazy, right? Spock haircuts, white belts, and teeny tiny little t-shirts in it. Like power violence, but emo, no? Power violence is basically just hardcore with blast beats, so does that mean Emoviolence is just emo with blast beats? Yeah, sorta, kinda, yeah, right. Let's get to know Emoviolence, shall we? To do that, we need to get to know Guy Picciotto. What did Guy hate? Money. What did Guy like? Hardcore music. What did Guy think hardcore music needed? More crying. 1983, Guy starts crying hardcore band in DC. He calls the band Rites of Spring. People call the band emotional hardcore. Guy calls those people stupid without a cigar in his mouth. Probably. Guy said all hardcore is emotional. People didn't care. The term stuck. It got shortened to emo. Guy moved on. Started Fugazi. Guy exit stage left. Heroin enter stage right. There, from San Diego, emo is spreading. What did heroin hate? Money. What did heroin like? Intensity and screaming. They cranked it up. Other bands like Antioch Arrow and Swing Kids helped solidify the sound. What did they all have in common? San Diego. What else did they all have in common? No money. And Spock haircuts, of course. Justin Pearson of Swing Kids is maybe, sorta, kinda credited with starting the trend of insane emo haircuts. Maybe, kinda, sorta. What else started here? Youth large tees, polos, and tight pants. Oh yeah, and even more screaming. Not quite screamo yet though, proto screamo. In 1992, Honeywell created the first historic touchstone of what I'd call screamo with their self-titled EP. What did Honeywell hate? Money. What did Honeywell like? Noise. Lots of it. Distorted everything. More dissonance? Lowering the fidelity just below sea level to make the recording that much more harsh. Yes, no-fi. More of that, please. Thank you. You know what else they innovated? The spoken word call and response with screaming vocal style that would become synonymous with the sound. Oh, and movie samples. Lots and lots of movie samples. Let's get some movie samples on the go, why not? All these elements are staples of the genre to this day. 1993, Honeywell does a split with Northern California's Reach Out. What did Reach Out hate? Money. What did Reach Out like? Even more noise. Even more vocalists. Even more call and response. Even less fidelity. We're getting pretty close to Emoviolence now, folks. Not quite. Not enough blast beats. Still, in 1993, a band called Inhumanity released the Intolerable EP. Very much a punk record, not Emoviolence in the slightest. By 1994, they become a screamo band when they released the Killed by Robots 7-inch. That wasn't insane enough though. Time to go even crazier, they said, probably, without a cigar in their mouths. Probably. 1995, Emoviolence is born on the Inhumanity split with Demand. It's called Rehearse for the Apocalypse. Delightful. It's got all the harsh screamo stuff pioneered by Reach Out and Honeywell, but this time packed with even more noise. Blast beats. Glorious blast beats. Breakdowns. Chunk-tastic breakdowns, people. Grindcore flavored emo has arrived. Definitely. This time, the songs were housed in even a rougher package. Inhumanity would half-jokingly coin the term Emoviolence based off their inspiration from power violence. In 1998, they would drop the Occultonomy 7-inch. On it, cemented for eternity, was the opening track, Emoviolence Generation. It was sung to the tune of Sex and Violence by The Exploited. Irony. Bands began to adopt this particular strain of screamo. Hinckley, Tasty, Combat Wounded Veteran, Don't Mind If I Do, Rent America, sure, why not? It was almost a competition of who could get more chaotic and cathartic. Where do I sign? You may hear people create even further divisions in the genre with terms like sasscore and white belt hardcore. Between 1997 and 1999, two of the most influential bands in this style would emerge from the screamo womb. We're talking about Orchid from Massachusetts and Page 99 from Sterling, Virginia. What did Page 99 hate? Money. What did Page 99 like? More members. 2 singers, 3 guitarists, 2 bassists, 1 drummer, and 8-piece to be precise. And I'm pretty sure they've played with 2 drummers before, probably. Their album, Document Number 5, is my personal favorite of all time. Who cares? More bands you need to know from this time are Palatka, Monotonish Fuck, Love Lost But Not Forgotten, and Jerome's Dream, to name a handful. Jerome's Dream is another one of these big deal bands in the subgenre. They started in Connecticut and moved to California. That means, if you're paying attention, by the end of the 90s, screamo, and by extension Emoviolence, had legitimately swept the nation. A noisy bed of feedback, static, distortion, tremolo picking, blast beats, and movie samples for a body of screams and yelps to rest upon. These bands didn't call themselves emo, screamo, or even Emoviolence. Fuck no! Those terms were slurs. All these bands just still called themselves either punk bands or hardcore bands. Not me though, and not the fans. This was something else entirely. Stop calling us that, the band said. Definitely, with a beer in their hands, probably. First they shrugged off the term emo, then it stuck. Next came the mocking of screamo and scramz. Both terms still around to this day, baby. So try as they might to resist the label, Emoviolence remains the best and most fun descriptor of this strain of hardcore punk rock music. The Jerome's Dream Year 2000 EP, Seeing Means More Than Safety, is a monumental release for the genre. Other bands taking us into the new millennium include Usurp Synapse, Tears of the Averill, A Day's Refrain, Neil Perry, and Textbook Traders. Circle Takes the Square is my favorite band from this era. Probably. Who cares? We just love a Hollywood Squares reference in our emo music, don't we, folks? Along with Jerome's Dream at the top of the bill was a band called Rain. You know what made Rain special? They were Italian. What did Rain hate? You guessed it, money. What did Rain like? Even more crying. Emoviolence has gone global. Another band from the 2000s era that made a huge dent was Loma Prida. Death Wish Records are a record label. What do record labels like? Money. Death Wish Records say, time to make a Loma Prida Rain split with a cigar in their mouths, probably. Taking us into the 2010s, we had bands like The Resurrectionists, Lord Snow, Say Eureka, Tentacles, Kilgore Trout, Asperger's, Gas Up Your Hearst, and Ostraka. In the mid to late 2010s, we had bands like Gift from God, keeping the violence alive. Also, during this time in 2017, a screamo fest would kick off in Toronto called New Friends Fest. The heartbeat of a new generation of this shit was beginning. I've gone to this fest for the last 2 years in a row now, but who cares? I do, motherfucker. I love this shit. There's a lot of really good screamo and Emoviolence out there today. So with that being said, let's talk about some modern scrams. If we're gonna do that, Infant Island is a great place to start. Although their newest album, Obsidian Wreath, ventures into black metal territory, it doesn't feel unearned because black metal and Emoviolence share so many qualities. But where I see real, pure, unadulterated Emoviolence is when I look at a group like the Hers Collective. What does the Hers Collective hate? Money. What does the Hers Collective love? Community. They just love getting everybody in the scene involved. Their last record, 2023's We're Still Here, has features on every unrelenting, vicious song. And they're all unrelenting, vicious songs. The mix on it may be clean as fuck, and sure, there are melodies all up on this thing, but that doesn't take away from any of the Emoviolence goodness. This record pummels you on every level. But now, since I'm talking about Emoviolence that is actually recorded well, I have to talk about the band Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead, named after a novel by Olga Tokarczuk. This Emoviolence is lush, rich, and textured. Bro, this is like ASMR of rusty nails being sharpened with sandpaper. Their 2024 LP, Tragedy as Catharsis, is a must-listen for anyone this far into this video. Bands like Mouthing and Stars Fading Out Quietly are also bringing fresh, new, exciting energy to the scene that I just love to see. The visual aesthetic elements of using monochromatic stencils and stamps have only increased with time. The terms emo, screamo, and Emoviolence have all been lovingly accepted by now. The passing of time has endeared the once shuttered terms to new artists, almost to a point of snobbery. The authenticity of the people within the community, however, prevent it from going full hipster. Screamo is for the weirdos that were drawn to the hardcore scene for its intensity and crowd participation, only to get shunned for their weirdness. Now, they have a place to mosh. 2025 is here, and so is the band Told Not to Worry with their 8-song LP, Hands in the Air. This record has got it all and more. It's got atonal dive bombs, gutturals, pig squeals, mic clips, and clean arpeggios up the wazoo. We're almost 40 years into the Emoviolence timeline, and I'm still excited to see what the new bands are doing. Providence, Rhode Island is the new San Diego, and it seems every band has at least one guitar player that plays an SG. All hail the SG.